A language processing disorder affects attaching meaning to sound groups that form words, sentences, and stories, and is a specific type of auditory processing disorder, or APD. While an APD affects the interpretation of all sounds coming into the brain, for example, processing sound in noisy backgrounds or the sequence of sounds or where they come from, a language processing disorder, or LPD, relates only to the processing of language. An LPD can affect expressive language, what you say, and or receptive language, how you understand what others say. Auditory processing disorders in general have been known to not have any definite cause. They may be related to ear infections, premature birth, or head trauma, and affect about 5% of school-aged children. Many confuse APDs with other disorders, yet it is important to remember that an APD is an auditory deficiency that is not the result of other, higher-order, cognitive, language, or related disorders. The signs of an LPD include having difficulty gaining meaning from spoken language, demonstrating poor written output, exhibiting poor reading comprehension, showing difficulty expressing thoughts in verbal form, having difficulty labeling objects or recognizing labels, being frustrated by having a lot to say and no way to say it, feeling that words are right on the tip of your tongue, can describe an object and draw it but can't think of the word for it, being depressed or having feelings of sadness, and having difficulty getting jokes. There are 3 steps to intervene with a child with a potential LPD. Response to intervention usually involves the following: monitoring all students' progress closely to identify possible learning problems, providing children who are having problems with help on different levels or tiers, moving children to tiers that provide increasing support if they do not show sufficient progress. Students who are struggling in school can also have individual evaluations. An evaluation can identify whether a child has a learning disability, determining a child's eligibility under federal law for special education services, help develop an individualized education plan, or IEP, that outlines help for a child who qualifies for special education services, establish benchmarks to measure the child's progress. A full evaluation for a learning disability includes the following: a medical exam, including a neurological exam, to rule out other possible causes of the child's difficulties. This might include emotional disorders, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and brain diseases. Reviewing the child's developmental, social, and school performance, a discussion of family history, and academic and psychological testing. Usually, several specialists work as a team to do the evaluation. The team may include a psychologist, a special education expert, and a speech-language pathologist. Many schools also have reading specialists who can help diagnose a reading disability. An LPD doesn't allow the kids or adults affected attach meaning to sound groups that form our daily speech. It can affect the way they communicate with peers or coworkers by not allowing them to express themselves through their words and how they understand others. In a classroom, a person with an LPD demonstrates poor written work, reading comprehension, and has difficulty labeling objects or recognizing labels. Most likely, someone with an LPD has a hard time making friends or socializing. They have difficulty expressing their thoughts out loud, often get frustrated easily with having a lot to say, and don't have quick humor. A learning disability involves the foundational, perceptual, and thinking skills that allow us to operate in life. Thus, just as a sore or injured muscle will cause difficulty wherever that muscle is required for physical movement, so a learning disability will affect a person's life wherever that skill is required. Classroom and assignment accommodations. A teacher may be asked to assist the student in finding effective peer note takers from the class. Alternatively, you could provide the student with a copy of your lecture notes or outline. Allowing the student to tape record lectures. Allowing the student additional time to complete in-class assignments, particularly writing assignments. Providing feedback and assisting the student in planning the workflow of assignments. This is especially important with large writing assignments. It may be helpful to break the larger assignment into smaller components with opportunities for draft feedback, providing assistance with proofreading written work. Examination accommodations. You may be asked to allow the student with a learning disability extended exam time, typically time and 1/2 to double time, to take exams in a room with reduced distractions, the assistance of a reader, scribe, or word processor for exams, the option of an oral exam, to use spelling and grammar assistive devices for essay exams, to use a calculator for exams, and to use scratch paper during exams. The 3 main services used to assist people with an LPD include a speech pathologist, a support person, or a peer tutor. Lastly, the 3 areas of the brain affected by an LPD. 1. Broca's area, associated with speech production and articulation, to articulate ideas and use words accurately in spoken and written language. 2. Wernicke's area, primarily involved in the comprehension and associated with language processing. And the 3rd, the angular gyrus, allows us to associate multiple types of language-related information, whether auditory, visual, or sensory. The angular gyrus allows us to associate a perceived word with different images, sensations, and ideas.